So the Minnesota Timberwolves have the number one pick. And with this draft having no definite number one selections like in prior years, a big question is who will they select? And in today's video, I will be telling you who they should select with the pick or what they should do with it. Please like this video to help my channel grow, subscribe to my channel to help me reach 500 subscribers before the end of 2020, and comment on this video to start a conversation with me, and play that intro. So at the trade deadline, Minnesota got D'Angelo Russell to pair with Karl-Anthony Towns, which drastically made their future better, because instead of just having Karl-Anthony Towns, a player capable of being the best offensive center in history in terms of versatility, they now have an elite playmaking and shot creator in D'Lo, who fits seamlessly along Karl. Even if the Wolves didn't get the number one pick, their future was still promising. But now I'm going to talk about the prospects and how they would fit on the Wolves. If the Minnesota Timberwolves draft James Wiseman, most people would be confused since James plays the center position and so does Cat. And with the way the NBA is moving, which is towards versatility and small ball, having two 7-foot centers in your front court most likely will not work in today's NBA. The only way it can work is if James is very good at guarding perimeter, but that is not what he's projected to be. It could be like how the Lakers start AD and McGee together and it works well, but when it's just AD at center, they are way better. And in this scenario, Karl would be AD and James would be McGee. So I think the Wolves just have to get a better team without a front court of Wiseman and Towns. Neither of them are able to guard the perimeter like AD, so it wouldn't work. Wiseman and Towns can shoot, but Towns is one of the best shooters in the league, and Wiseman at least seems to have a decent shot, which is promising. I think Wiseman will be a Clint Capella type player, and him and Karl will not play well together. Wiseman's best at the rim, and it will clog the paint for Towns, who although is a great shooter, you don't want to turn him to Brook Lopez, so Wiseman can post up. I don't think Wiseman would affect D'Angelo that much since most of his offense comes from jump shots, but Minnesota has a bad defensive center and a bad defensive point guard, and the only way they can be a respectable defensive team is if they fill out the rest of the roster with good defenders. And although Culver is terrible on offense, with proper development he can be a good defender and a good 3-and-D player, but he is not enough to save them, and neither is Wiseman. So I don't think they should get him, and I don't think Wiseman is even the best prospect, and I see no chance of the Wolves drafting him because of the fit. LaMelo Ball to the Wolves is very likely, and on the surface, it seems to be the same as Wiseman's situation, because LaMelo plays point guard and so does D'Lo. But the difference here is that D'Lo and LaMelo are taller guards, and either of them can play the two. And I think on offense, that team would be really good, with LaMelo being projected to be a good shooter and D'Lo already being an elite shooter, and also Cat being an amazing shooter. The spacing on this team would be very good, and LaMelo and D'Lo are good playmakers and they can play well off of each other while involving the shooters. The downside to drafting LaMelo is the fact that he is not projected to be a good defender, and the Wolves are a team that needs a good defenders alongside D'Angelo and Towns. I think a Minnesota team like this would potentially be top 10 in offense, maybe even top 5, depending on their surrounding players, but could legitimately be the worst defensive team in the whole association. The only positive thing is that LaMelo is 6'7", and when you're that tall, it's better to be a bad defender at 6'7" rather than 6'3". And since LaMelo was playing in Lithuania, he might have not been giving full effort, and he might be a solid defender. Also, there's a fear that LeVar Ball will talk and whether he will be a problem, but I don't think he's that serious because he's been quiet over the past 2 years, and I personally think LaMelo isn't selfish anymore and can fit along D'Lo and Cat. There has been some reports that are speculating that the Wolves will trade D'Lo to make up space for LaMelo, but I simply believe that's not happening because of D'Lo and Towns' close relationship. Also, we don't know if LaMelo will even be better than D'Lo, so if the Wolves draft LaMelo, D'Lo will not get traded. I think the likelihood of this draft happening is very likely, but I don't think it's the move the Wolves should do, even though I believe LaMelo is either the second or first best player in the whole draft. If the Wolves draft Anthony Edwards, the fit will be perfect because he can either play shooting guard or small forward, and the Wolves lack a definite answer at either of those positions. They have Culver and Malik Beasley, and Culver was very disappointed in his first year and just straight up bad. But I still will not give up on a player in his first season, and I can see Culver being a good 3-and-D player. They also have Malik Beasley, who went crazy in his last few games with them, so you have to watch out for him. Edwards can play the 2, which is a position that they lack. And Edwards is a very strong and athletic guard, and he seems like if he puts effort on that side of the ball, he can be a really good defender, which is what Minnesota needs. Edwards is also projected to be a solid shooter, and he has the capabilities of going off the dribble and creating his own shot. I think Edwards is a perfect fit for the Wolves because he can do all of those stuff, and the thing they need is defense. And he won't take the ball out of D'Angelo's hands because he's not ball dominant and can play off ball. And even though he's not a good playmaker, the Wolves don't need that because they already have D'Angelo. Another avenue the Wolves can go is to trade the first pick, and they would do this because there's a chance that who they select with the pick isn't even a star level player, which is exactly what they need. Because Karl is really good right now, and they can't be wasting prime years of his career like they did with past stars like Kevin Love or Kevin Garnett. So if they can make a trade for a star wing or guard to pair up with Cat and D'Lo, it might be worth it. Some trades for the number 1 pick would be like Bradley Beal, because he would give the Timberwolves a big 3, and I think that big 3 can make the playoffs in the West along with some average pieces. The only problem with this trade is that I don't think the Wizards would do it because I think they want to be competitive and not rebuild. Another potential trade is trading the first pick for Victor Oladipo and a few other assets like 2 or 3 first-round picks. Oladipo on Minnesota would give them a dynamic scorer who can work well with Cat and D'Lo. But Oladipo's injury might veer the Wolves from trading for him, because if this is Oladipo from 2018, I think the Wolves would do it. But since it's Oladipo from 2020 and we don't know how certain his health is and how good he is, I don't think the Wolves should or would do this trade. But the Pacers should do this trade in a heartbeat. Another potential trade is not for a star, but it is to the Hawks for Cam Reddish or DeAndre Hunter, along with the Hawks' 6th pick. And the Wolves would do this if they thought one of the better players in the draft were later. The Hawks would do it if they believed whoever they take with the number 1 pick is a definite star who will be paired up alongside Trae Young. Out of all the possibilities I have just said, I think the Wolves should draft Anthony Edwards because he fits the best and they don't have an elite wing. But I think they will draft LaMelo because they believe he is the best player in the draft. And looking back at it throughout the video, I haven't brought up Malik Beasley. And that was not on purpose, but I believe Malik can fit well along all of these prospects except LaMelo, because that would force him to play the 3, which I don't think he can with him only being 6'4 or 6'5. So I think if the Wolves choose LaMelo, Beasley would not be re-signed, which I think is a wrong move. Anyways guys, that's it for the video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything that I said. Like the video to show support and help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel to help me reach 500 subscribers before the end of 2020. And comment on this video to start a conversation with me. Also check out these 2 videos up above if you like this one. And I'm out.